All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the AI plus EI equals a better you webinar. And this is brought to you by the PGA Magazine and for the general managers, of course. And Andy Warren, who has been our advocate of what we're doing with the PGA Magazine. He is not going to be available today. I think he's traveling, and he said he might join in on the phone. But in the meantime, it's a little small group. We had, I think, about 25 registrants out of the 2,200 general managers on the list. So we'll just get this started. But just want to introduce myself. I'm Rick Ladendorf, and my partner Craig Marshall's on the call. We're known as the monk and the mastermind in the club industry. And for those of you who are in the private club side of the business, we're pretty heavily involved with the Boardroom Magazine, which is a publication that goes out to the board of directors for, I think, 4,000 clubs. And I got my start about 15 years ago in when I started the America's Healthiest Clubs. It was a designation that really was designed to help clubs better understand how health and wellness can help with the staffing, but also with the member experience. And so we've been in the space of health and wellness for a long time, but I met Craig Marshall, the monk, about 7 years ago, and we created the Mindful You, which is really designed to help with that work-life balance and stress issues that we all deal with. But along the way, we've become content partners for the Club Managers Association, PGA Magazine. We do a lot of work with Troon and PCMA, which is the membership marketing group. And then we also work with the Boardroom Magazine to provide some board level type of education for board and committee members. So just kind of a quick overview. But when you really look at the business, and now I've been hearing this for almost 25 years, because I'm the guy that's probably reaching out and talking to almost every one of you. The first thing somebody says to me when I ask, how you doing? They say, well, I'm so busy. I'm stressed out. I'm overwhelmed. And that's true. And I get it. Craig seems to think that this club industry is a little dysfunctional in the way it's organized with board of directors. And I know people on the call, not all of you have boards. Some of you have owners. Some of you are working for resorts as well as public and municipal kind of environments. But you're all have something in common in that you're trying to lead a team of people that obviously in this world of chaos, especially even after COVID, it's tough. It's very difficult to find the right people, to retain the right people. And Craig and I have been on a few calls with the PGA Magazine in the past, and we've heard from a number of the general managers. And I got to tell you, I'm very impressed with the amount of knowledge that the PGA has at this level, and being able to address the issues of recruitment and retention, et cetera. But when you have a board or even stakeholders, maybe it's an owner, there are a lot of unsaids, and that creates a lot of drama, I think, in the industry. And when those unsaids are there and there's no boundaries, it creates a lot of problems. But I think if you boiled it all down, we sort of are redefining the concept of work-life balance. And we're redefining it because the component that I think is missing in this harmony that we're looking for is the me component, the ability to work on personal development. So today, we're going to talk a little bit about how artificial intelligence can help with emotional intelligence. And we all know, we've all probably got our own definitions of what AI is, but it's machines or software that really require human intelligence, and they try to automate the process of reasoning and problem solving and perception and language. And now we've gotten some feedback from this webinar. We've done this now probably a half dozen times already. And the one thing we're not going to do is really focus too much on the AI component, because it's really the emotional intelligence that's more important to all of us personally and professionally. So for those of you, you've probably heard the name emotional quotient, and there's a score. It's like the intelligent quotient, the IQ, in that you can score. And really, when you look at emotional intelligence, it's about emotions, empathy, about how we interact with people both from our internal perspective as well as others. But emotional intelligence is really difficult to really put your finger on. We look at it more like more of a mindset. It's like, where do I fit? What does my life look like outside of work? What does my life look like at work? And more importantly, how are we taking care of ourselves? So very quickly, when you look at AI, and if you use the tool, and I know Patrick Casey has, it can save a tremendous amount of time. It definitely can help improve and deepen relationships because it gives you the ability to actually better understand people you're in dialogue with. I'm going to do a demonstration at the end of this after Craig gets done speaking, but it really truly does make it easier to get buy-in to your vision and help manage other people's emotions and your emotions, etc. But it's really about becoming more aware. And I am so amazed by this tool. I saw it in December, this Chat GPT, and within minutes, I realized this is going to save us a ton of time. Um, and ultimately, it really does help people become more authentic and transparent and real. It does reduce stress, but you got to really understand how to use the tool. It's like garbage in, garbage out. If you understand how to ask the right questions, it can give you some really good output. And maybe if we have time, we can talk about Patrick about how he's using the tool, because we do kind of reference him in this little case study. Um, but I'm going to just go through a couple of examples here. Oh, this did not get updated here, Craig, but sorry about that. Peter is a general manager in Michigan, and one day he said he needed to create an employee orientation plan, and he had been putting it off for months. It's one of those projects he just didn't want to focus on. And within 1 hour, he and I spent time looking at what an orientation plan looks like, and we converted a 90-day plan that we've developed and converted it into a 14-day plan, complete with indexes and tables of contents and the whole structure. And within an hour, he had the basic components of something that he's been putting off for months that would normally take tens or hundreds of hours to do. We did a lot of work in 1 hour. So it was amazing. Now, Gary, also a general manager, he's in Florida. He had an issue where his board of directors were trying to create a membership buyback clause for their bylaws. And they had 4 previous meetings to talk about the issue, and they could not get agreement amongst the group. And so they were very frustrated with the process. And then Gary and I, within 30 minutes, were able to take the main components of that, create the bylaws. Gary was then able to present it to his board the following week. Without exception, it was approved by the bylaws, and the attorney approved it as is. So it's a great tool that has a lot of opportunities. I'm going to jump to the last one. And Patrick created this beautiful culture guide for employees. I know there's a new upgraded version. I've yet to see Patrick, but we tell the story all the time about Patrick and how his team has come together in such a dynamic way, but he focuses on that, and he's starting to use the AI tools to create newsletters and other documents that really help to better define the vision and the strategy. So there's probably 1,000 examples I can give you guys in terms of how AI can be used, and we're going to go through one in a second here. But I think that the real question, and I'm going to turn this over to Craig, is who's programming the program, and how does this really look when you really talk about AI and how that intersects with EI? Craig, why don't you take it over?
Well, just a little background. I was a yoga monk. I lived in an ashram for 35 years. And so people say, wow, that's pretty weird. And what's that got to do with my life? That sounds like living on the moon. But it wasn't really, because we were very busy people. It was an international organization and we had all the functions you have. But I did learn about introspection, meditation, all these things that I think are slowly but surely coming into the mainstream because of all the uncertainties these days and all the stress and pressure people are under both at home and at work. And so I like this thing here. This layout is old school. No matter whether you're a leader or whether you're a mom or a dad or whatever, stress is building. So calmness is going down. This busyness that Rick is talking about is becoming endemic rather than making time for what matters most, having those kind of priorities, being able to focus on those core issues. And then the short-term focus, just firefighting and problem solving, as opposed to really doing vision work, thinking long-term, seeing the bigger picture, and building a culture around that. I think it's harder these days than it used to be because people are superficial, people are stressed, people just don't have the bandwidth. And then we all get habit driven. And so I think in this day and age, we're having to both learn and unlearn to find new and better ways to deal with, for instance, new generations coming into the workforce, all of this. And of course, the ego is always in the face of really being emotional intelligent, what we're talking today about. And then survival is, as we all know, pretty far down on Maslow's hierarchy, as opposed to being up there at the top where it's really about purpose and vision and me and all of our people becoming our best selves and working together in collaboration on that really integral level. So it's a challenge. It really is. And I don't think there's any of us who are free from all of these challenges. So what do we have on the inside? Where do we go to when we get stressed? Because if you look at this chart, I mean, wow, this is kind of like a snapshot to me. It's almost scary because, you know, look at up there on the body on the upper left side. The Y is missing from the body, but it's like fatigue. It's like we accept being tired at the end of every day. But I think really, if we step back from this and really took a deep breath and looked ideally at our job and our home life and so forth, that all of these things should be giving us energy. You know, isn't that what the word nurturing means, as opposed to sucking energy so we're exhausted at the end of every day? And not just us, maybe we're a little more mature, a little more grounded, but look at our people. If they're frazzled, they can't be them best selves. If they have unresolved conflicts going on and they got troubles at home, they can't have that twinkle in their eye and that smile on their face that really is the reflection of a true servant's heart, so to speak. And so there's all this stuff going on with our bodies, our minds, our behaviors, our emotions. All of it is interrelated. So where is all this heading? Well, neuroscience tells us that we think on average 1,000 thoughts an hour. That's a lot of thinking. And when you think a thought, you have to make a decision. Do I need to write that down? Do I need to calendar that? Do I need to share that with somebody else? Because 2 2/3 seconds later, another thought's coming down the road. And so it's like stimulation, challenges, problems to solve, all of this input, I think, is wearing us down. So when we get worn down and we're not our best selves, we can't be really great leaders, right? And so these are, I think, the 4 things they didn't teach me in school. They didn't teach me about how to manage my ego and how to tune in with my higher self. They didn't talk to me about awareness, right? Of the narrative I have going on in my head, which is largely characterized by limitations rather than inspiration. And then they never talked to me about how to learn how to learn, and then to learn how to unlearn. I swear to God, I've spent the last 25 years of my life questioning beliefs, looking at myself as objectively as I can. And I've done coaching with everybody from Steve Jobs on, you know, so I've been in the trenches for a long, long time. I've probably counseled 30,000 people through the years. And I've lectured, I've stood up in front of audiences as large as 7,000 people, probably 1,000 times all over the world. So I have a lot of data. And I've concluded that we're all in the same boat, you know, for good or for ill. And so number 4 really is important, because what are my core beliefs? What is my personal life purpose? And is my work life and my home life and my sense of self, are those all synergized and integrated with that? Because if not, I'm going to get pulled in a lot of directions by a lot of people. And if I don't have those boundaries Rick was talking about, I'm going to start swirling and I'm going to lose energy. So to me, this is not like a spiritual conversation. It's an energy conversation. And I think that's what we're all about. I'd love to hear from Patrick, who's been through a 26-week developmental course and we've been to his club and talked to his team. And Patrick, just tell me in a nutshell, what do you make of the need for what we're calling mindfulness in this day and age? What are you seeing in the trenches?
I think it's just providing tools and a roadmap to, keep things balanced. And like you said, I think, none of us are, looking back at the mindful leaders. I mean, none of us are exempt from any or all of the items that you've listed, but I think it's just important to be able to have, boundaries and, have a roadmap to deal with certain, certain challenges. And, what I'm finding very helpful with the AI and the EI is that I'm finding that Mindful You has helped me, develop and look at things from more of an emotional standpoint, so that when I'm using AI, I can, kind of work it to where I'm, looking at it from the perspective of how somebody else may be looking at it. Whereas I think, a lot of times that's the most difficult thing. How do you communicate and be effective, right? And what's the perception of the person who's ultimately reading it, or the person you're trying to convince of something, or to develop, or if you're trying to develop something. So I'm finding that the combination of Mindful You and the tools that it's provided is helped me use AI much more efficiently.
Well,
Well,
you're absolutely right, because if I ask, how can I get the most out of my people? It will tell you, right? But if I ask, how can I empower my people? How can I ask them the questions that will ask them to ask the questions of themselves, so they can come to me with solutions rather than problems? That is going down two very different roads.
yeah, and I think that the ultimate question is, why don't more of us actually do more to invest in ourselves, whether we're a champion of change and you're a general manager for your team, or just yourself. And Craig and I really look at the world in this way, that this bell curve, if you will. On the left-hand side, you see this pain-driven progress. These are people that have lost their job, they're having financial issues, maybe they're not happy in their career, maybe they've been diagnosed with a chronic illness. In fact, we just did a seminar with a gentleman, Alan Jacobs, who longtime GM and he's working 80-hour weeks, high stress job, and he ends up having a stroke. Well, he's helping us to tell that story, because his attitude is he doesn't want you to come to him and say, I told you so, meaning doesn't want to have happen to him, to you, that happened to him. He'll never be another general manager again. His life has changed considerably, and he definitely attributes that to his high stress environment that he's in. So whether it's stress or relationship issues, these people are highly driven to actually take action, to do something. Whereas on the other side, I think you gentlemen are the ones that are on the call are more pleasure driven. And that because you're aspirational, you're looking to continue to sharpen the saw, maybe building your career, maybe improve those relationships, or you might even have a lot of goals that you want to achieve. But you show up and you're taking action, and that's because you have a desire and a goal. Whereas we look at the rest of the 90% of the population that are all dealing with the same types of issues, whether the career or family or relationships or whatever it might be, but they're not willing to take action because they're not ready. So they're in this kind of status quo. They'll certainly complain about it, and they'll blame everybody else for their problems, and they've got an excuse for everything because they're too busy and it's not enough, it's not really important enough. So that's very interesting to us. So what we're going to do now is I'm going to just switch over here to whoops, I'm going to go back a couple of slides here. So what I'm going to do is just in the next 5 minutes give you an example of how we can use AI, a tool, to help better understand an employee before, let's say, communicating with them regarding their behavior. And I'm going to go through some examples. The question really becomes for all of you as leaders is, should we continue to invest in this employee, or should we terminate? What's the best way to communicate with this person when maybe we're not trained in that sort of behavioral analysis? Maybe we don't have tools like DISC assessments or the predictive index or some of these other tools. But at the end of the day, it's about what can that employee hear when you speak to them? So that's the demonstration. And I'm going to switch over here to my Chat GPT. And if you haven't seen the tool, I'm going to just highlight it here. And you know what? I'm going to just, if you haven't seen it, I'm going to just put it into the chat box just very quickly so you have it. And that way, if you want to take a look at it, it's free service. It's amazing. It's done so much for us. Craig and I use it every day. But before I do this analysis, I want to show you how I use the tool. So in this case, it's what I would call Jane's last warning. So the question is, and this is what I'm going to input into AI to show you how the tool works. I need to learn how to communicate with Jane, an employee that seems to be very introverted, shy, but yet intelligent and disconnected socially from her team members. Jane seems resistant to share her opinion unless we ask her directly. When she does respond, she's very defensive and wants to blame others. I need to know the best way to communicate with her to get her to open up. What would you suggest? And what do you think her DISC profile looks like? So if anybody's familiar with DISC, you know it's not an inexpensive tool, but it's also a very interesting a tool if you use it as a, let's give me a second here. What happened here? All right, what happened here? I don't know what happened there. This is very interesting. I've never seen this before. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's happening to my computer. Okay. So what we're going to do, I'm going to just paste this in here, same exact thing I just read. And in seconds, watch the screen as it starts to define how I can better communicate. So maybe we need to do a private meeting with Jane. Maybe we have a more non-confrontational approach. Maybe use open-ended questions. Be direct but gentle. Give her time. So she's introverted. Provide positive reinforcement. Don't blame her. Be empathetic and understanding. So it gives you an identified number of things you can do to deal directly with her. And now it's going to explain how she might be a high C, which is she's intelligent, possibly detail-oriented, and maybe high in steadiness, which is the S portion, but low in dominance and influence. So right now, just with this limited knowledge, I have the ability to now speak to Jane on a different level using a tool. Now, if I switch back here to my document, I might say, well, that's great, but based on the description you provided, well, I'm sorry. My next question might be, well, now that I know more about Jane, rewrite this email to be more mindful and empathetic in a tone that is personal, conversational, and succinct. So this would be an email that many of us might have written in the past, where you might say, Jane, I've been noticing you're coming in late. You've been absent a lot lately. When you do show up, you don't seem to connect with your team, and they feel you're not pulling your weight around here. Your behavior is unacceptable, and this is your first warning. I've copied HR in this email and expect you to fix the problem. Otherwise, I'll need to start looking for a replacement. Please confirm you have received my email. Many of us have probably written that email before, but that's not that's probably not the most emotionally intelligent way to do that. So let's try it in this particular chat that we're having with this tool. And I'm going to copy and paste and see what happens. So now it's going to rewrite the email. Dear Jane, I hope this finds you well. I've noticed you seem a bit disconnected. We value your input. Love to have a meeting one-on-one to discuss. So it's a very easy, simple email to set up a meeting with Jane. We didn't go into a lot of details. We certainly didn't, hammer her for her behavior. So then I would say, well, before I have that meeting, I might want to say, well, write 5 questions that I can ask this employee in a follow-up meeting to help improve our relationship and get them to open up and share the reasons why they might be disengaged. So I will just flip back over here, paste that in. And within seconds, I have now 5 really good questions that I can ask Jane. From how are you finding your current workload? Are there specific challenges? Is there something you feel we could change in our team environment? We've noticed you've been coming in late. Is there something specific causing this problem? We value your input, your skill, and your insights. And do you feel like there are any barriers that we can help with? So, what we've done here in just 5 minutes is demonstrate how AI can help us with this emotional intelligence in dealing with individuals. Craig, do you want to add anything to that?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. But I believe that it's important to not only use this tool yourself, but to push it downstream. So that's why our programs are not only for leaders, but they're wing people, the top 3 people that are your champions or your influencers. And that is the next step toward building a culture, because I think that's the whole goal, to have a whole team that's functioning together, that have each other's backs. And when we do that, stress is going to come down, silos are going to come down, drama is going to come down. And that's why we're on the road doing this road show, or we have an 8-week master class that's really accessible and really fun. And to Patrick's point, we have tools and tools and tools that are simple, that only take between 5 or 10 minutes to practice. And these are handouts that you can give your people, which are stuff that they will keep forever. It's very introspective and it's very punchy, like this Chat GPT tool.
Okay. So we'll be sending you out an email with a copy of this webinar and a link to the classes. I'm going to show you what that looks like, because this 8-week masterclass is going to start September 26th. It is, sponsored by the PGA magazine. Andy Warren will be part of this, and it's very interactive and very lively. And I just want to go to that particular page. So if you wanted to look online, where did I put that now? I thought I had it in front of me. Okay, is this the PGA? Rick, why did you do this? Okay, I thought I had it all loaded up here. Oh, here we go. So this is our workshop, and the actual workshop, the web page, we'll send this to you. This is our roadshow, and in the roadshow, we're going to be in Naperville. That's coming up on the 12th, which is next week. And if you wanted to join up, simply click here to join. And the other, you know what? I'm sorry, I'm going to do this. Apologize for this. PGA magazine. Yeah, give me a second here. I wanted to make sure I had the right thing, and masterclass. Oh, so why am I having? Okay, here we go. Masterclass. These are the topics that we're going to be speaking to. Oh, this is not the right one. Oh my gosh, sorry about this, Craig. I don't know what happened here. Oh my goodness. I don't have it in front of me. So I apologize, gentlemen, for this. I will send you the link to this, but it identifies the 8 classes that we'll actually be speaking to. And that is the end of our 30-minute webinar. We certainly can stand by if you've got some other questions, but this was really intended to just kind of give you an overview of what we're doing. But if you feel like you would like to participate with other PGA general managers, definitely click on the link. It starts the end of the month. And if you can make our Naperville show, that's great. But we have other cities that we're going to be at. So any last words, Craig?
No, we would love to meet you and compare notes, because I think all of you have a lot of contributions. So these classes are very interactive, and it's a great group think. It's like a mastermind group for sure. And we have a ton of fun.
Right. Any questions?
The master class, the 8-week class, is that held at specific times, dates?
Yeah, that's at 9 o'clock Pacific, starting the 26th, and it'll go 8 consecutive weeks for 1 hour.
Okay,
And
so
they're
it's
all
always
recorded.
That's what day a week is then?
That is a Tuesday.
Tuesday.
So 9 o'clock, it'd be 11 o'clock Central Time.
Got it. Just like today. Got it.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that seems to be the time that Andy thinks is the best time for the PGA general managers. Yeah. Any other questions?
But those classes are recorded if everybody can't attend on every week. So
Correct. Correct.
Good to know.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your time. I know it try to run through a lot of information in 30 minutes, but it was really just designed to be a teaser. Patrick's laughing because he knows us, and he shows up every week, and it's become part of his life, and And I think the one thing I would say about Patrick and other PGA general managers that we have, they put it on their calendar because they know that this is an important thing to continue to sharpen the saw. And I'm sure you've got lots of access to various tools and resources, but we really kind of blend this together to become more of a personal and professional development. So we look forward to hopefully seeing you in Naperville or on the upcoming masterclass.
Okay,
Thanks,
bye for
guys.
now. See you
Appreciate it.
guys.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.